All right, welcome everyone to Lead Generation World Live. I'm super excited about today's interview with Puja Amin. I'm going to introduce you officially in just 1 second, but before I do want to again welcome everybody that's on LinkedIn or on YouTube to the broadcast and give you guys a moment to join and all that sort of stuff before we really get into the conversation here. So while we're waiting a little bit, I do want to make a few housekeeping items. One is we can see your comments, either whether you're watching on YouTube or on LinkedIn. Feel free to comment, say hello, ask questions yourself. It's always kind of fun when we get questions from those that are watching as well. So please do. Also, don't forget, we have contact.io coming up in a couple weeks. It's August 31st, 30 through the 1st. Really excited about that show. All things contact. So whether it's driving inbound calls or making outbound dials, we're talking about it. As a matter of fact, we have 2 stages. One stage in the exhibit hall, which is called the Troutman Amin LLP stage, thanks to Puja, is sponsoring that stage. And we've got just a ton of great content lined up for that stage and the other stage as well. But it's going to be a really great show. If you make outbound dials for sales purposes, for high ticket items, insurance, mortgage, you name it, solar, debt, then you want to be at this show. If you buy calls or sell calls, you want to be at contact.io too. So that's in Denver coming up here at the end of the month. You go to contact.io. So I hope I killed enough time for everyone to sort of get on. I am super excited to have Puja Amin with me today. Puja, thanks for joining me. Really appreciate it.
Mike, the pleasure is mine. I'm so excited, and man, I'm pumped for Contact.io as well. So, really looking forward to seeing you in person here in a few weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I know you're on a couple panels. Eric's doing his thing as well. So we're going to have a good group of conversation around compliance. But today we're not going to really talk. Maybe if somebody has some questions about compliance or somehow we get on that topic, we'll talk a little bit about compliance. But I really wanted to get on a podcast and learn more about you. Everybody knows Puja, but do they really? And so maybe we're gonna find out a little bit more. I can see it in your face. You're getting nervous.
Well, I mean, I don't know that folks really know me, Mike. Right? I have this facade of just being, Queenie, being TCPA world. But I know you're going to unpackage. There's a lot of layers to me, and there's a long story of how I got to being who I am today.
Yeah, and I'm excited to get there. And I hope we have enough time to talk a lot about it. But first and foremost, you got to tell us how did Queenie come about?
Oh, I love this story. So if you recall, many of you guys may know this. I used to work for Eric once upon a time, the czar at the time. And when I was interviewing him, before I had started, he had invited me out to a group lunch with the current team or the then team then. And the first question they asked me as I, showed up at lunch was, "So what's your royal court name going to be?" And I looked directly at them like, well, I'm not a princess, right? So, I mean, Queen is the obvious choice for me, right? You'll get to know me, and that's just who I am. And Eric looks at me, he just stares at me, and he's like, "I just met you, and you have shown up and declared yourself the queen of the world." And I'm like, "Yes." And he goes, "I don't know you yet, and I don't know that I trust you yet. So how about we go with Queenie until you can prove yourself to be the queen?" Sure enough, Queenie just stuck. There won't be a queen in TCPA world, but I've stuck with Queenie. I love it, and that's my story, and that's how I got my name.
Okay, so maybe we need a little participation from those listening. I feel like I need a nickname. But it can't be like Jester, the Jester, or anything like that. You know what I mean?
No, you can't be the knight. You can't be the jester.
Yeah. I gotta figure out. I need a name. I need a name. Maybe we don't answer it today, but I need a name or a nickname. So we'll think about it. We'll think about it. So I also, doing a little research, I realized that we have a similar connection, and that connection is San Diego. Obviously, I live in San Diego. In fact, my son, who plays for a soccer team, plays all his home games at USD at El Toro, whatever stadium. And so you spent some time there. Yeah.
Yep. So I grew up in San Clemente, and I went to law school at USD, where your son's at. Fantastic school, as you know, fantastic view. It's a private law school that I went out to, and so I spent about 3 years in San Diego, and I do have family that lives out there too. So San Diego is like my second home, super close to South County. I just love it there. It's a great network. It has a great little legal network of its own where almost everyone knows each other out there. So I would love to open up an office in San Diego one day.
Yeah, beautiful. So, but San Clemente is great too. So, how were you born and raised in Clemente?
No, so I was born and raised in Cerrito. I was born in La Mirada. Funny story, Eric and I were born in the same hospital. We found that out. Yeah, the hospital no longer exists. And then my parents moved around quite a bit, right? My dad got laid off when I was young, so we moved up to San Francisco for a little bit for his business. And then he migrated us all back to South County, but really South County, which was San Clemente, and was like completely new territory for me, something I wasn't used to. And then that's how we ended up there.
Yeah, because literally, for people that don't know Southern California, especially in the 90s, 80s, going back, really up until recently, frankly, San Clemente might as well have been an island. Off the coast. Like you're an hour and a half to downtown San Diego, an hour and a half, hour and 45 to LA, maybe 30-40 minutes to Orange County. You're kind of in your own world.
Yep.
And so yeah, how was that?
San Clemente was interesting for me. For me, it was a culture shock, right? So
Yeah.
San Clemente, for those of you who may not know, it's a surfer town. It's very conservative. People who have been in San Clemente have been there for generations. Really, there's not a lot of Indian people out there, right? There's not a lot of ethnic people out there. So
not a lot of diversity.
Not a lot of diversity. And so, when I got there, it was something I had to adjust to, right? It was completely new for me. And I mean, I love challenges. So for me, it kind of opened up my world than the one I was used to when I lived up north and when I, grew up in Cerritos.
What was that your high school years? I'm sorry. When did you get to San Clemente?
I got there in the 6th grade. So, and then it took me up through a high school, and then my sisters graduated from San Clemente High. And then, I started working in Irvine and kind of just never left in Orange County after that.
Yeah. But so you have one sister?
I have 2 sisters. I'm the youngest of 3 girls.
Youngest. Okay. So 6th to 7th, 8th grade moving, those are pivotal, years in one's life, especially for a minority woman going into a junior high or high school that is not as diverse as maybe Cerritos, where these other areas are. How'd you sort of navigate that?
Short answer is initially I didn't. I hid from it. I was extremely shy, right? I was, if you saw me through my 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and even 9th grade, I didn't really break out of my element probably till 10th grade. But, I recall as a little girl, I always wanted to be like everyone else who lived in San Clemente, whatever that meant at that time, right? And I was constantly trying to dress like other folks, right, to fit in. And it just never jived with me. I never was able to get out of my shell because I felt like I was pretending or trying to fit into something that just wasn't me. So honestly, I was shy, Mike. Like I know the inner Puja wanted to come out, but I didn't really develop and kind of find out who I really was till probably the 10th grade. So
yeah. Did you when did becoming an attorney start to was this something that was on your one of your childhood dreams, or was it something that you sort of, came to graduation and you're like, okay, what do I do next? Or
No, it started as a child. So my parents were immigrants from India. And as my dad, once he got laid off and started opening up his own businesses, I realized there was one thing that was constantly around us, and it was attorneys and the law, right? How he could do something, how he can't do something. And so at an early age, I started kind of understanding how much the law impacts everything everyone does. And by the time I was in fourth grade, definitely in fifth grade, I knew I was going to be a lawyer.
wow.
My dad, he would never say I was going to be a lawyer, but he used to always say she's going to go into politics. I feel like politics is in her future. Politics is not yet in my future, but it was an interest of mine ever since I was a kid. So.
Yeah. Okay. So did you do your undergraduate at US as well?
No, I went to undergraduate at UCR, so out in Riverside in Inland Empire, and then I went to at USD. Yep.
Got it. And how was the experience through law school at USD?
My experience at law school was fantastic. It was a little bit different than the traditional route that a lot of folks go to. Most folks go from undergrad directly into law school. I actually took 3 years, not off, but 3 years working to save up money to go to law school, make sure, it's what I really wanted. So I was a little bit older in my class when I was in law school, which was fantastic because I had more experience and insight into the corporate life and how to actually apply the law, in real life settings. So for law school for me was, it was unlike those in my class where a lot of folks were, they're going out and they're networking. And, for me, it was go to class, go to work, and then come back home, which was, South County for me. So law school was good, but it was more of, something that had to be done so I could get to the next step in my career.
Yeah. How does it work with regards to finding, and I hope I can articulate this correctly, but that niche in law? So I know there's court law, there's different aspects of careers within the field of law. How did you sort of did you narrow that down? Did you sort of fall into this world that you're in now?
I figured out what I didn't want to do in law school. So I interned in Washington, D.C. while I was in law school, and I was at a high-profile family law firm that handled a lot of cases for politicians. And I had very interesting cases, right? Not just your standard divorce cases. There was a lot of IVF was a really big thing back then, and there's just like the law around that. And I quickly realized, as much as I liked being in Washington, I quickly realized what I didn't want to do, and that was family law. And a lot of that was, as tough as I am in my career, it just mixing in emotions with your career was just something I wasn't prepared to do, right? And family law is one of those things where, you're dealing with real life problems, right? Not to say I'm not dealing with real life problems now, but it was too much for me. Like there's too much emotions involved. And then I quickly pivoted, and I knew I wanted to do civil litigation as opposed to transactional litigation. Transactional is more like the contract work, the stuff that keeps you out of court. And then I went, my first job was at an insurance defense firm. And for those of you who may not know, insurance defense gives you fantastic trial experience. You're handling like 30, 40 cases at a time. You have all sorts of different cases. You're constantly in and out of court. And it was what I wanted to do, right? I was like, I'm going to be a trial attorney, and that's it. Until Eric Troutman somehow recruited me. I didn't know who the guy was. I didn't know what the heck the TCPA was. And a recruiter called me and asked me, there's this very prominent TCPA attorney in South County, and he wants to recruit you to be a part of his team. I looked at what the TCPA was, honestly had zero interest. I looked at who Troutman was, and I was like, I don't know about this. The recruiter was persistent, kept calling. I'll never forget it. I had finished one of my Spartan races on a Saturday, true story. And I went to go check my phone and had a voicemail from the recruiter on a Saturday begging me to come in for an interview. And I was like, who is this? Like, what is this? Is this like spam? And then the rest is history. I did end up going in for the interview. I did throw myself into, TCPA world. And so that's how I kind of fell upon my niche. It wasn't planned. It wasn't intended. It kind of came to me. So.
Yeah. Ironically, it sounds like that. Coincidentally, it sounds like the call was a TCPA violation.
Right?
So wait, because I want to go through this sort of timeline a little bit with you. And we may have jumped it. So I know you prior to 2018, you were at different law firms. Is that sort of that time where you were sort of testing different things or finding out kind of what you wanted to do from like 2000 15 or whatever to 18, you were at a couple different firms. Is that sort of that timeline when you were trying to figure it out?
Yeah. So, the goal as an associate, other than the associates at my firm right now, but usually it's, you're looking to go to firms that are bigger, the ones that can give you more opportunities, right? Where can you make home where you eventually become a partner, right? That's most associates' dreams or goals, right? And so insurance defense is what I did for 4 years before I delved into the TCPA world. And it was perfect, right? Because you just get so much experience as a young attorney. You get to learn the nuances of procedural rules and actually like applied in court. I was in state court, which is completely different than my practice now, which is federal court. But state court really, really drives you to be an aggressive litigator. And so, my goal that time was to get as much experience as I can, and then eventually end up somewhere where I knew I was going to become partner. So I was always looking.
Yeah. But so as when I got to know you, when you were with a major mortgage originator, working as the corporate counsel for that company. Was that where you were at when you were being recruited, or was this? Put that puzzle piece in for me somewhere.
So I went into insurance defense, and then Eric was at his then firm, and he had recruited me to work for him. So then I quickly pivoted, right? I was working for Eric. Then life happened, right? Life happened hard for me at the time, where I was in a place where, one, I realized big law was no good. Right. The way they treated folks, the way they treated associates, it was just not a lifestyle fit for me at the time. And then my personal life kind of took a real big hit. And at that time, the universe was still looking out for me because I got this awesome opportunity to kind of take a break from private practice and the hustle and bustle of litigation and get this fantastic opportunity at a company that was my then client at LGW. Still being able to practice everything I loved, which was marketing and advertising law, along with the TCPA, but it was an in-house position. And, attorneys who may be listening in know the in-house life is a little bit different than, private practice. It's a different speed, right? It's not to say that, working is hard, but it's a different speed. And for me, it was the right opportunity at the right time. And obviously, I learned a ton being there, and I wouldn't be where I'm at if I didn't get that opportunity to go in-house at Loan Depot.
Were there any challenges in that time at Loan Depot that sort of shaped your approach to law today, or?
So challenges, learning opportunities as well, say. So Loan Depot, what I loved about my experience there, it opened me up to the lead generation world. Okay.
Yeah.
Before I joined Loan Depot, understand I was representing servicers, right, that were just reaching out to folks to collect on their debt, really, right? And that's where the TCPA was applicable. The lead generation world, I didn't know what that was. It was completely news to me. And, Loan Depot helped me understand that industry, right? Working with my business partners who obviously had been in it for years. And that's where it really got to me, the good folks, like the digital marketers that are out there right now, that a lot of them are my clients now. So it was really cool to see the intricacies of what goes on within a business and for them to be able to market. Whereas when I was in private practice, I wasn't able to see into the business as well. And Loan Depot, really everything I know about compliance, right? Being able to now apply what I know to other businesses, that came from my time at Limdigo.
God, that's great. Before we get into like next sort of step, obviously being sort of a legal powerhouse, people know about, but some people also know that you're an endurance athlete as well. What's the story behind your first trifecta finish, and what is a trifecta?
Yeah, so a trifecta is in the Spartan world, if you will. It's 3 different races that you have to complete in 1 calendar year, and it includes a beast or higher, which is 13 miles or more. It also includes a super race, which is 8+ miles, and then it includes a sprint, which is 3 to 5 miles. And these are races that have obstacles in them. And so if you do all 3 in 1 calendar year, you get the little medal that makes you get a trifecta. And so my former boss before I worked for Eric, she was amazing, right? She was who I wanted, I thought at the time, to spend my entire career with. And as a young attorney, the stress that you're handling, it's easy to get pulled into bad habits after work, right? Whether it's grabbing a drink or staying out too late or working to not sleeping, right? And she did some of these races, right? She was doing mud races at the time, and she already knew I worked out and I, took my health really seriously. And she had invited me to one of these races. And this was a race out in Camp Pendleton, and it was in order for like charity to help out military folks. And since I grew up in San Clemente, it was obviously close to home for me. It was something I wanted to invest myself in. Then I came across the Spartan Ultra Marathon. So you have the sprint, the super, the beast, and then you have the ultra. I found the ultra and I was like, I'm going to try this for my birthday this year. Not realizing what an ultra was, not realizing that folks go to different levels of steps to first get to an ultra. And the ultra has time restrictions on it. So I set myself out, I went to Tahoe. I was ready to go. It was about a 16-hour race. I didn't pass. I got a DNF. It was did not finish because and so my second lap, I sure enough didn't get the medal, and it was kind of upset. I was like, how did I not finish? Not realizing that people train years for this. So I promised myself the next year on my birthday I was going to get that ultra medal. So in order to do that, now I went through the sprint and the super and the beats, and I just started collecting multiple trifectas in order for me to pass the ultra the following year. I passed, then it just became an addiction, and that's how I, became a Spartan.
Yeah. So I found this photo. What is this? Tell me about this. Is this one of your first? This looks like Dodger Stadium, which go Dodgers.
Yeah. So this one was cool. This one was one of my first ones. I look tiny and weak, but I love this one because this was one of the first ones I competed in, like the female group for my age group. And if I recall correct, there's one that came in 3rd place. I think this was it, and it was racing all throughout the Dodger Stadium, and I was so happy. I love that you found this picture, Mike. It's fantastic.
So this was your first race?
This was in the early days. Yeah, this
early,
was early days. Yep.
Yeah. That's great. So, all right. So obviously, both the legal world and ultra marathons, ultra these races, endurance races, require a ton of endurance. Do you see any parallels between preparing for like a big case or training for a race?
Yeah, 100%, Mike. I'm a firm believer that if you can dedicate yourself to being physically healthy and doing things that require commitment every single day, that's going to translate into anything you do in life, right? Whether it's work or whether it's your relationships, it's everything you do in life, like that it's in my blood, right? To give it my all and to make sure I don't fail at whatever it is that I'm doing. And so the only thing consistent in my day is working out, right? Every day, like every time, waking up at the same time. Work, on the other hand, it's stressful. I don't know what's going to happen in work every single day, right? There's no consistency at the firm. So I have to have some level of control in my health in order for me to be, calm and collective, and also, put that same grit towards my work life. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Do you find that it's like equally control as it is just your competitive nature, or is it actually you're just really have that competitive spirit, in everything you do, and this is a sort of an easy way to fulfill that competitive spirit too, to always be pushing, to working out, to always be trying to get better.
Yeah, I think it's innate to me, or it's habit, right? It's one of the others. It's so to me, it's not a question of whether I should or whether I want to. It just happens, right? Like I wake up in the morning and I go on a 5 mile jog and then I lift right after, right? There's no choice. And it's the same thing in my career, right? I don't make the choices, my clients do, right? As an attorney, your life doesn't belong to you, right? The second you go to law school, you are giving up the right for your career to be in your hands. Every day it's dictated by my clients, right? And so understanding that it's not in my control, like you just go with it, right? And so same thing with working out. It's just you got to get it done, right? You don't have a choice, and that's a lot of everything in my life is I don't have a choice, so just get it done.
Well, I like how you put that, because you actually do have a choice. You can sleep in, you can not go. You could, do other things. There actually is a lot of choices, but I like the perspective that you're telling yourself at the very least that there is no choice. You're doing this, and this is what you're going to do.
Yeah. And a lot of that it's because of my work, right? It's my mental, like the way I approach things, I think it's consistent with everything I do in life. And it's working out just fine.
So knowing where you're at now, and we're still going to get to TCP World and Troutman Amin firm in a second, but looking back at that sixth grader, in San Clemente, would you tell her anything different? Would you tell her to do anything, or would you tell her to have confidence in what she's doing? What would you tell her?
I would tell her it's going to work out, right? It's going to work out. I have this personal story that I've told very few people, but it's
So should we do it now, live broadcast to a lot of people? Okay.
So, for 3 years, I'll make it quick, but for 3 years,
No, please.
I've ever since I was a little girl, I've been into fashion, right? I've always been into dressing up and very girly. Like I would have to. We grew up poor, but my mom would, try to afford whatever earrings I wanted or matching jacket. She did a very good job of trying to feed that need. But once I got to San Clemente, I had this green Adidas jacket, right? It was one of those ski jackets, right? The ones where you had the matching pants. And
Heck yeah.
I dress up right in the morning. I would often steal my sister's clothes, who was in 8th grade, and she'd get upset. And then under the jacket. And every day I tell myself, you're going to take the jacket off today, right? I didn't take that jacket off for 3 years.
Yeah.
And every day I told myself it's going to come off, right? You feel confident in what you're wearing. It never came off. So I was that girl who wore that green Adidas jacket every single day to school, right? Not underneath I was wearing, like what I wanted to wear,
Sure.
to show the world. And so I don't know if I'd look back and say, take off the jacket. I think I'd look back and be like, you're going to eventually take off the jacket when you're. So.
I love that life experience, but also that analogy. Sometimes you just gotta shed the skin, right? And just be who you are and be who you want to be. Do you find that freedom today?
100%. I am so unapologetically me every day, Mike, and it's either a flaw or it's the best thing that happens to me because who I'm talking to. The folks that were like really know me and listen to me every day, or are around me every day, I have no filter. And it's sometimes it's great, right? And other times it gets me in trouble. But it's just who I am. I can't help it, right? I don't hold anything back. Eric knows this, my team knows this. what you see is what you get with me, right? There's no pretense at all. And I don't know if I intend to do that or I try to actively do that and be myself every day. It's just, I can't help it, right? I have to be myself. Otherwise, there's something that burns inside of me that says, oh, no. I have to get my word in. So, that's just who I am these days.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think it's freeing. I think, obviously that comes with learning, I would imagine too, right? Sometimes, I know in my own life, uh, giving my own opinions and sometimes isn't warranted, or giving, doing my way isn't always necessarily the best way,
Yep.
or the way that's needed at that time, and so balance, I think, is also, something I try to focus on as well when it comes to that stuff kind of too.
To be able to assess the situation, right? It's not that I just freely, willy, just my way all the time, obviously.
Yeah, 100%.
There's times when you have to speak up, right? Whether you want to or not, whether you've been trained to or not, you have to speak up.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take a step backwards a little bit and go back to okay, now Loan Depot, and then what? And Eric, I think the timeline. Eric left his firm to start his own, and I'm sure you guys were in ongoing conversation about that. Are you able to share a little bit about that? Sort of the creation of him and you sort of working to build that firm, and what it was like early on, and where you're at now.
Yeah, so Mike, Eric had been frustrated with big law for a while, right?
Yeah, and you mentioned that too, and I'm curious to touch on a little bit about that too, but I want to get ahead of myself, and how you guys sort of took some of those feelings and are doing things differently.
Yeah, and so he was at Big Law for over 15 years. He was an equity partner for multiple years. He had managed a ton of people throughout his career. And I recall having a conversation with him when I was in-house counsel, and he's like, these firms they don't take care of their clients, right? Because they're just looking after making the money, making the buck, and they don't really care about what's happening to their clients at the time. And speaking of Eric, you have to speak up, even if you've been trained. I'm seeing a lot of LinkedIn updates. Anyway, so I kept trying to encourage him to go out on his own because I knew that's what he wanted. And unlike Eric, he was a little bit on the fence. And he said, I'm not doing it unless you come. I don't know who else to do this with. And at that time, I was pretty confident and happy in my then career at the time. I was like, I'll join you when I can. And sure enough, our good friend PJ and I pushed him out the door, and he was scared as all hell. And I introduced him to the Baroness, who I knew would be a fantastic fit to help him kind of start up his firm. And the two of us got going. We startup was tough, right? Eric gave me $1,000 on marketing, and I spent it on a bunch of pins. And he's like, "What did you do? We don't have you spending pins." I wish I was wearing the lion pin. I meant to put it on, but he's like, I wanted you to buy mugs and cups and hats, and you bought pins. We only have $1,000 for marketing, and for the beginnings, right? And
yeah,
what's amazing though was 100% of his clients at that time followed him. And what we set out to do was obviously start the best law firm in the nation, but more importantly, find a place where we could be approachable, right? In big law, like there's a reason lawyers are disdained, right? No one wants to talk to their lawyer. No one wakes up and says, let me call my lawyer. And we want to change that culture, right? I want to be approachable to my clients. I want my clients to be able to text message me, right? I want my clients to be able to talk to me about what workouts they're doing this morning. I want to ask them how their children are doing. And so we set out to change the culture and break that big law mentality. Although we had clients that, needed the services that big law could have offered. And it's been fantastic, right? A large part of it obviously is that our clients trust us to do it. And so every day when we talk about how not to be like big law, what it means to us is what it means to our clients. How can our clients feel more comfortable as they're going through these lawsuits, right? Because it's tough for them as well, right? So how can we make their lives easier?
Yeah. And so now you guys are spreading. You're a partner. Correct. Now it's not just a Troutman firm. It's Troutman Amin firm as of this last year, which is awesome. Congratulations on that partnership. But you're also expanding. At least I think I've seen that. You're expanding nationwide.
Yep. As you know, Mike, our practice is 100% federal, and we practice all across the country. So we have cases everywhere, and we would like to have attorneys and a footprint everywhere where our clients need us. And so the goal is to keep opening up offices, generate really good talent, and we're consistently growing. And Eric and I can't do it alone, right? We can't do it without our entire current team. And more importantly, we want to create a place for other attorneys where they can kind of break free of the nonsense in big law and realize you can have a great career and also work at a place that treats you well.
Yeah. Let's get back to Puja for a second. Tell me about your experiences as a female, sort of going through those different law firms, and sort of your advocacy today with some of the different female groups in the performance marketing industry that you're doing. Did some of those experiences in your early professional career push you towards that, or was this always something that maybe was instilled at an earlier age?
Yeah, I'd be lying, Mike, if I said, I didn't get the opportunities as other men do, or, as a minority woman that I was, not given as many opportunities. I never saw it that way. All right. I came into the legal profession knowing that it was dominated by white males. And so to me, it wasn't, oh, well, I need a little bit more attention because I'm a female, or I need some guidance. For me, it was, well, I know I'm just as good as them. So how do I get in, right? How do I get into that circle? And the only way to do it is if you throw yourself out there, right? The only way to do it is if you speak up, right? And so for me, it was, I took whatever opportunities were given to me and I just ran with them. And so I guess I was lucky that I got the opportunities I did, but also instead of looking at it as, a crutch, I looked at everything as an opportunity, right? And, sure, there's white males, 90% of them in the room, but that's okay, right? Because I'm the only female here. So do a good job, right? Do great, do it better than them. And so that's how I kind of always viewed my career when I entered the legal profession. And then once I got deeper and deeper into it, I realized, well, not every female gets the opportunities I got, right? And then I could never relate to people that didn't have the same work ethic as I could, right? So I always had a hard time relating to people, other professionals, because I was always looking for more. And then I met I met some ladies at Link Unite, and I was like, wow, I finally found like-minded women, right? There are that are like me. There are women that have their own stories. And so now I just like to move myself into, events like Link Unite and kind of just learn everyone else's story. And I can't say that I need it or that I crave it, but I just love to hear it, right? I love to hear other powerful women just kind of get through and break free of the norms of whatever females are supposed to be in a professional setting.
Yeah, no, that's great. Link Unite has done really a wonderful job of bringing all the professional females, at least in this industry, which is massive. I mean, the digital marketing space is the greater industry, which is encompasses so many different industries, including performance marketing and everything else. But yeah, it's really great to see what they've been doing and bringing women together. And I think there's an event coming up, right, Amanda? I think you're in the comments. You got a Link Unite event coming up October. Am I wrong?
No, September.
September. Yes. Maybe Amanda, you could put it in the comments there, and we could put it up here for those that are listening. But yeah, no, that's really really great. So, but you guys, I feel like the Troutman Amin firm has whether or not made an effort, or it just is what it is. Has a diverse staff of attorneys that are there. So I don't know whether it's just happenstance, or it was more um you know
No, Mike, it
on
wasn't
purpose.
wasn't intentional, right? We look for talent, right? And if we found talent in just a bunch of women, we got lucky. And that's what happened, right? A
Yeah.
lot of people ask, you have a team of a bunch of women and the czar, right? We have, the viceroy.
Yeah.
Um, but we don't turn down excellent talent, right? So if we see talent, we don't look at, what color their skin is or what kind of gender they are, right? We just don't look at it. We take the talent and we're like, it's ours. So it absolutely wasn't intentional. It worked out. It is what it is, but it's, we just like to hire talented people no matter who they are.
Yeah. So this is obviously you're focused on a lot of different things, but this comment actually ties into a question. You're obviously a role model. And I don't know if you have nieces, nephews, little ones in your life or whatever it is, but you're clearly a role model for young women that want to be successful in whatever career that they do. How do you take that on, or is it something that is just not even really thought about?
I don't think about it, to be honest with you, Mike.
Yeah.
Right? I'm humbled that you said that. Right? I don't hear it often. If that's the case, it's wonderful, right? And I don't. I'm not looking to be a role model, but I love if I am, right? Because I love who I become. I'm confident in who I've become, and if I can help change someone, speak up and help them take off that green jacket one day, then I'm like, I'm doing something right, right?
Yeah.
I don't start my day saying, hey, I'm going to be a role model. I start my day just saying, be the best version of yourself, right? And that's the way I look at the world.
Yeah. Is there a part of you that wants like an adult size of that green jacket? Like, I'm not even being like, that's not an analogy, but like that's like that's back in. I'm like I kind of wish I had that too right now.
I should probably get one with like the lion logo, right? I'm sure they
Oh,
still have those windbreakers.
awesome. 100%. I think we got a Christmas gift. Perfect idea for a Christmas gift for you. That's great.
Maybe I'll have to get it in pink these days, right? The green one is probably on sale. My mom probably brought the green one on sale, and
So is pink's like the new green for you? Is that what's up?
I've always loved pink, Mike. It's a part of me. I have a car that has pink interior now, for goodness sake, right? I've loved pink since I was a little kid. So
I saw that. What's this? Oh, so the story behind that is just simply love pink. How I saw a picture. Is it sort of a subtle, a soft pink, interior, or is it the Mary Kay? Or no, Mary Kay is kind of very pink. No, I don't know.
No, it's a soft pink. They only had it in soft pink. Now,
Okay.
if they had it in this pink, right, this bright pink, I don't know. Maybe I would have gone for the brighter pink, right? Like that's neat, right? But they only had the soft pink, so I went with the pink that they had.
That's great. That's awesome. And do you love it? Do you love the car?
It's amazing, right? I just love it. I love it. It's something I worked really hard for. It's something I wanted about 2 years ago. I told myself I was going to set out and get it, and it's here. So
Awesome. Well, we're sort of wrapping up on our time here, but I really appreciate you sharing a little bit about yourself, your journey, what's going on with the Troutman firm. Obviously, you'll be at contact.io. What else are you guys? What do you guys have on your calendar as far outside of contact.io? But I know you guys are doing webinars. What are you guys working on? Is there anything sort of big that you're focused on right now?
Right now, well, other than we're constantly focused on winning, right?
Yeah.
Every single day winning and then expanding, right? Just opening up more offices. We're hiring for all sorts of positions, right? From paralegals to attorneys to office staff to receptionists to assistants. We're hiring, right? So if anyone knows anyone interested in working with the Queenie, definitely point them to my direction. But just expanding. Obviously blogging, videoing, you see all the, content we're putting out there. The conference seasons are upon us now, right? So then just attending a few of the conferences. And then, as you know, Mike, we just put on our own conference just 2 months ago, right? And we had a great turnout. It's not something we're going to do all the time. We're not conference throwers. But, we are looking forward to doing that annually because there was a ton of value that was added to folks from all the feedback we got. So, just focusing on the next steps, just grind it every day.
Yeah. I think I'd be remiss if I didn't at least ask if anything happened in the TCP world that has been, crazy news, big news, urgent news that's maybe in the last week or so. I know we don't have a ton of time to go into like all the ultra details, but is anything like that's like, oh my God, this happened this week?
Yeah, well, not this week, but in the last, 2 to 3 weeks, just pay really close attention, folks, in the lead generation world of the FTC and the SEC guidance that they're throwing out there, specifically around pre-recorded calls and what type of consent you can obtain in order to legally make pre-recorded calls. You can read on TCP World, the way it stands right now, lead generators cannot transfer consent to other partners to make pre-recorded calls. So, just keep an eye on it. We're keeping an eye on it for you, right? Reach, obviously, it's a trade organization that Eric and I have started to kind of help folks, speak up to the FTC and the FCC and submit comments. If you're interested in knowing more about Reach, let us know. So, that's our advocacy efforts. And so, there's a lot of time being devoted to Reach and to kind of help the industry out to have more guidance, right? Because I think everyone's a little bit confused right now and they don't really know how to operate these scary waters.
Yeah, it is because it seems to be a moving target at times, right? Trying to determine what something means and what something doesn't mean. What makes me think, you brought up something, and I'll bring it up to you now, that reminded me of a conversation I just had a couple of weeks ago with a company that does a lot of calls, and they're talking with some of the carriers. And with regards to Reach, bringing together companies, lead buyers and sellers and brands and together to have a cohesive guidance on what should be doing, what they should not be doing. A suggestion may also be bringing some of these carriers into the conversation, because conversation I had last week was that they are already taking some of what the government has been proposing and already stopping calls or not allowing certain telephone numbers, all that's that's spam likely, all that sort of stuff.
Constitutional rights.
but completely not even allowing calls to go through if they feel that and asking for the consent and asking, hey, show us that you have this consent from this person and how it goes, and they're, but not to be too confusing in this rambling here, but the carriers are already sort of taking some stand that that consent can't be passed on, and for a phone call, and so that's not the law right now. And so it sounds, it might be another portion of the confusion and of what's kind of happening, and we all obviously need to come together as an industry, carriers, brands, dialers, call centers, all together to come and find out, get all on the same page to some extent. So it just made me think about it. Sorry to ramble on, but these carriers might need to be in that conversation with Reach as well.
Completely agree, Mike. And, that's what we set out when we started Reach, right? To get everyone involved, kind of help out the community cohesively, right? And we all have the same objective, or most of us do, right? The good players in the industry have the same objective, and, that's what Reach is for. So interested in knowing more, want to get involved, or even if you want to sue a carrier, right? I know a lot of my clients are looking at that as well. Feel free to reach out. We're happy to help.
Great. I think we should probably end it there. Puja, seriously awesome. I love that you were on. I'm glad I could spend the last 45 minutes with you talking. I can't wait to see you and the rest of your team in Denver. And if anybody wants to reach out to you, obviously they could probably just go to tcpaworld.com or Troutman Amin. Is it just troutmanamin.com or is it
It's troutmanamin.com. We have this fantastic website. Check it out. It's a fun little website. So yeah, you can contact me from there, or you can find me on TCP World. And then yeah, we're coming in hot and heavy to Contact IO. So the whole team will be there, or majority of the team will be there. Looking forward to the new stage and speaking at your event, Mike.
Yep, and I want a nickname by then too.
Yeah, man, I'm
okay. Think about it. Eric needs to do. Eric needs the team to think about this, and I need to be crowned some type of, or maybe not crown's not the right word, but I feel like I need to be part of this team with a name.
I agree, Mike. Eric, think of a name.
About it.
I don't think it's going to be crown, Mike, because
no crowns.
And the female crown belongs to me, unfortunately.
Yeah, no crowns. And no juggling of things, no jester, but I don't know. We'll see. Okay, cool. Well, we'll leave it at that. Thanks, Puja. I appreciate you and everything that you do. And we'll see everybody else later. All right.
Thanks, Mike.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone.